This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. Hello, everybody. We made it to Hump Day. Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy. All right.
There was a lot of different accents.
Yeah, I went
there.
from like Southern to like Alaskan. It was all over the place. All right.
Alaskan.
Yeah. We're getting a new look, guys, at a Netflix limited series. I cannot wait for this. It's about the Menendez Brothers. It is the second installment of Ryan Murphy's Monsters series. And I know if you don't, he did the same thing with Jeffrey Dahmer's story last year, which we spoke about on this panel. In 1989, Lyle and Eric Menendez admitted to killing their parents, record executive Jose and his wife, Kitty. The brothers said it was in self-defense because they claimed their parents were abusing them. They were convicted in 1996 because a jury believed the prosecutor's case that they killed them for money. Now, this new series seems to take the side of the brothers. Take a look.
I need to know what's going on with you and the boys.
What do you mean?
I need to know. I don't want there to be any more lies between us. I won't tell anyone.
It is over. Stop. I'm going to fix this family.
Wow. So the series, stars Javier Bardem as Jose and Chloe Sevigny as Kitty. And they reenact this actual family portrait, just taking a moment here to take this in, of the Menendez brothers. We saw that portrait for many, many times, over and over and over again. Erica, this has really evolved this case into a potential situation where they might be let free. Rosie O'Donnell has really taken on this case, and again, I want to remind people, a former Menudo member claimed that Jose also abused him, and Jose was part of that.
Yeah,
as well.
not just one.
Yeah.
There's a documentary on Peacock. It came out last year called Menendez and Menudo, Boys Betrayed.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm glad that this case is getting
Me
another
too.
look.
Me too.
You have to, what that particular documentary kind of like draws out is the climate that we were in terms of court TV and what was happening at that time. The LA District Attorney's Office had a major blemish because of how things were handled with O.J. Simpson. So essentially in this documentary, which obviously it's siding more with the boys, but also all of the victims of Menudo.
Correct.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. These are stories that have been coming out for decades before the murders took place.
Right.
And they've been substantiated by a lot of victims as well as people who had documentation that the alleged abuse happened.
Family members spoke out.
All sorts of people have spoken out about it. So essentially, in that documentary, they're kind of saying that the LA District Attorney's Office was trying to save face in this. So by granting them this or having the second trial, they wouldn't allow any of the stories or allegations of abuse, which to me was just a miscarriage of justice.
Sure. Not even showing the motive on that. What do you think, Al? You've been shaking your head.
I mean, I'm shaking my head because I'm in total agreement, Erica. These stories come out, and it's so sad. Because when you first hear something like, I remember when I first heard this, it just didn't make sense. And what Judge Judy says, if something doesn't make sense, it's not true.
Right.
And it's like they killed their parents for money. That might make sense to regular folks like us because we're like, oh, you kill a rich person, you get their money.
But they were rich.
Gross. But they were rich.
They were rich.
So the concept of money and not having it is nothing to them. That concept of having whatever they want is all they know.
Right.
So why would you go in there and blow your father's head off with a shotgun? That's because there was probably something else going on. I watched the Menudo documentary that wasn't attached to Menendez Brothers. We have this Menendez Brothers documentary. Like Erica says, where there's smoke, there's fire. And sadly, Jeff, all these documentaries that we've seen about things about the 80s, it's been vulnerable kids, and this is before public discussion of
sexual assault, absolutely.
Things happening with Olympians. Everybody's like, shut up, kid, you're lying. Were all these people lying? Case after case after case, Jeff, and this just looks like it's the next one in line.
I thought the series was they were like taking the money away from the kids. But regardless of that, and the fact that they were being abused, you don't get to kill somebody for that.
Good point.
I'm on the side of you guys. If I got raped as a little boy or someone rapes my child, I will murder them myself, and I will accept my consequences of going to jail. You can't just murder people because something was done wrong to you. They blew their parents' head off with a shotgun. Again, I'm on their side. I'm an eye for an eye guy. But you can't do that in society. You can't just take the law into your own hands, even though I'm totally on that side. You can't relive the case without hearing a defense from someone else. You're only going to hear their defense. You don't know the parents' defense because their heads were blown off.
Right.
So you're just getting that story of them sitting in the living room. And again, people are very naive with what they see on the internet these days. And they're like, the thoughts in the mother's head. How do you know what the thoughts were in the mother's head? But people see that and they perceive that to be the truth without knowing what really happened in that house.
Please.
No, I totally agree with you. But that's also the reason why we don't just have like one penalty for murder versus manslaughter versus.
Right, there are degrees.
Right, there's different varying degrees, and what I feel like is that the case needs to be revisited because I don't think that the charges are correct. I'm not saying that they should have been free.
Right.
I'm just saying that I don't believe that they were charged correctly.
And also, we have to be careful not to look at this story solely through 2024 lenses, where if, God forbid, something happened to one of my children, one of your children, they could go to school where they would probably be believed. There's now outlets for children.
That's right.
In the 80s, the idea of any adult doing anything to a kid, it was shut. The kids didn't have a voice.
No.
I grew up in the era of don't ask your parents where they're going.
You couldn't talk about it because talking about it was considered uncouth.
Absolutely.
Talking about the actual abuse. Anyone who's going to watch the documentary on Peacock or watch this one, I will just tell you with a disclaimer that you definitely need to prepare yourself because the level of just description that goes into this is super alarming and disturbing.
Yeah, I remember the moment where one of the brothers told the other, it's also happening to me in the other documentary, and I thought, my God, this is at least should have been brought up in trial, at least should have been talked about. So let us know what you think. If you disagree, that's okay too. Bless you. Coming up on DBL, we're talking about J.D. Vance being under fire after his rant about teachers who aren't parents resurfaced. And we're talking with Keith Carradine about his new movie, Afraid, featuring a creepy virtual home assistant. Alexa. Blake's beautiful face.
I was like, that's a good-looking man.
It's a good-looking man. Let's see him. There he is. Yeah. Blake, thanks, buddy. Love you. We love you, Blake. Welcome back to DBL. All right, we got to talk about this. J.D. Vance is once again taking a swipe at childless people out there. So this is a resurfaced audio recording. It's from 2021 that was posted on the Kamala Harris's headquarters account on X. So J.D. bashed the head of the teachers union for not having kids of her own. Take a look.
So many of the leaders of the left, and I hate to be so personal about this, but they're people without kids trying to brainwash the minds of our children. Randy Weingarten, she doesn't have a single child. If she wants to brainwash and destroy the minds of children, she should have some of her own and leave ours the hell alone.
I don't understand this obsession, but could being a parent be harmful to your mental health? So the Surgeon General issued a warning today saying that parents are under dangerous levels of stress. The warning mentioned a study saying nearly half of parents said they were under overwhelming stress most days, compared with just 26% of other adults. So are you guys stressed out, the parents on this panel? And then also, what do we think about the J.D. Vance situation?
As a parent, it sounds weird to say, but yeah, I agree. It is probably not good for your mental health because you care about them more than anything on the planet, more than yourself tenfold. Yeah. And so anything that you care about that much is going to weigh on you, especially as you are inundated with things to watch out for. Watch out this Halloween. Is your kid getting too many carbs? Is your kid behind in school? How are you going to pay for college? Are they being bullied? Are they liked? Are they invited to parties? All these things every day are on your mind as a parent, and you just wonder, am I doing enough for them? Am I doing too much for them? There's no real manual on this, and so you're constantly second-guessing yourself. And I think just like anything you care about, you are going to put an inordinate amount of pressure on yourself.
Yeah, I would say it's even more than that, you know, exactly to what you said. My life isn't for me anymore, it's for my children, and that's where my stresses come from, especially in this situation that we're going through right now. I'm worried about my children and my family, not me.
Right.
But I do think there is something to be said about speaking whether you have children or not. Just like anything else, I think there's something to be said if you're black or white. You have your own take on what that is once you have a child. My life was completely different. I always use the term BC, like before Christ. I always say before children, because I'm a different guy after children. So I think there is something to be said about that. People who, let me give an example, and I don't mean to be murderous in this situation, but it's like people who love their dogs so much they call them their kids. If I had a dog and it attacked my children, I would take it to the vet myself and put that dog down. Now, I know people think that's extreme because they think their dogs are their children, but that's just putting it in perspective what your children mean to you. And again, you might not understand that if you don't have children. So there is a perspective of children and non-children, just like any other perspective that you guys have, whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, on certain subjects.
Yeah, I think it's when the hierarchy comes in, especially when you're talking about people who have children versus people who don't, because in J.D. Vance's, the implication is that someone who doesn't have children, whether it's by choice or circumstance, that somehow they are no longer able to also contribute to the betterment of society through the education of children.
Even malice. I mean, he said brainwash.
Exactly.
So it's going the other way.
And that's where my issue lies, because you don't know people's circumstances of why they're childless, if they're childless by choice or circumstance. And the idea that anyone who is childless by choice or circumstance would want to spend their time to pour into the next generation should be something that's just, I don't know, given some respect, as opposed to thinking that it's something nefarious. And that's where I have a problem with it.
I also have a problem thinking, I don't know, the whole thing was like, I see that there's different perspectives.
Right, that's taking it into whether you could have children or not. I'm just talking about the perspective of having children.
I'm talking about J.D. Vance's comments.
Right, and I'm not trying to stick up for J.D. Vance by any means.
I think it was two different things
I know what you're talking
about. Because you guys were talking about the perspective of being parents.
Right.
I'm specifically talking about the perspective of being childless, which apparently J.D. Vance is super obsessed about.
Really, he continually has spoken out about this in a way that is sort of concerning, that childless people shouldn't have the same equal vote, that we don't have the same idea of the future. I care about the climate change just because I don't have children. I still care about this planet. I still care about your children.
Right, I think you guys are taking that to that I'm just talking about the perspective.
Right. We're not talking about what you said. We're talking about what JD
Okay,
did.
okay. But I feel like I'm falling into JD Vance's camp, and I'm like,
Jeff
it's my
Schroeder,
perspective.
Of course.
Growing up the way I did.
Of course.
Listen, Jeff Vance, we hear you.
No, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to say the other side to that.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. And
But we always take like a subject and bring it to a whole new level. And I'm like, that's
It wasn't. There were two different questions that were asked, and perhaps for the next show we separate those two so we don't run into that issue.
Yeah.
So there was the
Or I
actual
just
issue
won't talk
on,
about it.
there was the actual issue on parenthood, and then there was the actual issue on childless people
Exactly.
and JD Vance.
And I think at some point
I'm glad we cleared that up.
I am too. I hope at some point the JD Vance team clears up why he's so obsessed with it, because I don't get it.
I have some thoughts.
Oh, let's hear about Al. We'll talk about it later. Coming up on DBL, actor Keith Carradine is talking about being in Madonna's Material Girl music video back in the day and reveals a secret she told him on set. Welcome back. You know him from his work as an actor and singer in Nashville, or his role as president on Madam Secretary. Now he's taking on an entirely new role in the film Afraid. Earlier, we spoke to Keith Carradine. Take a look.
Please welcome to DBL, Keith Carradine.
Voice I love. All right, let me ask you about Afraid. It is a thriller, and it's about a digital family assistant, like Alexa.
Yep.
I probably just woke up a lot of Alexa, who takes smart home technology to the extreme. Was anything about this role a big challenge for you?
Not so much a challenge as just a lot of fun. When Chris Weitz came to me with this part, I thought, you know what, this will be a fun character to play because this guy is the essence of venality. He just, all he cares about is the stuff. What can he get? How much money can he get? That's his whole world. That's what he cares about. The trappings of wealth and getting more of it. So he's in a position to make a lot of money by working with the progenitors of this AI device that is going to be used in the home.
Oh, wow.
Well, I have to ask you, do you have an Alexa or any other AI devices in your home?
I have to be straight. I don't have anything like that.
Good for you.
It has kind of creeped me out from the get-go. And I don't like the idea that there is some device listening to me, watching me in my home. If I want to communicate with somebody, I'll reach out and communicate.
You are reaffirming what I thought made ostracize me from society.
Oh.
I don't like the technology that much, bro. I feel you, man. I just don't. I don't like things listening to me. I want to write things down on paper. Anyway, because we are so similar, I do want to know, how do you play music? How do you keep track of your appointments without Alexa? Do you write things down? How do you do it?
Well, you know, I do have an iPhone, and it has a calendar in it, and I do use that.
Okay.
And I will connect online for certain necessary tasks having to do with my work and my professional life. Apart from that, I kind of miss the old days when you could drive around and you know, nobody could reach you unless you stopped and went to a phone.
Ooh, I like that.
I love this.
I feel that.
This guy.
I got to go back to music because speaking of music, let's not forget you were in Madonna's music video Material Girl.
Oh my God.
So I got to ask, what was it like working with her?
Well, she was huge. She was one of the biggest stars on the planet at that time. And when her team reached out to me to play that role, I was flattered, of course, and excited to take part. And she's amazing. I mean, she continues to amaze, frankly.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite artists, and I heard a rumor that she did not like that song. Can you settle this for us? Is that true?
I said to her the first day we were working together, I said, "Hey, this is a great song." She said, "I hate this song."
Thank you for settling that. That's an exclusive, everybody.
There you go. So, Keith, you won an Oscar for the song I'm Easy in the Nashville film, of course. But would you ever give up acting for being in a band? Because it seems like sports players want to be actors, actors want to be sports players. What would you pick, music or a band, if you had to pick one?
Take my hand.
Well, I have music. I've had music. I had a band. I toured twice when I had my record contract. David Geffen signed me to Asylum Records when he saw Nashville, and I put out a couple of albums, and I toured in association with those records. I played clubs all over the country on 2 different national tours. So I experienced that. Music, I will always have. I don't have to have a job to write a song or to sing a song. I don't need to be hired to do that. But to act, I kind of need the gig, you know? Otherwise, if I'm just going to act scenes in my living room, that's a little strange.
Come on.
I know.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Keith. What a pleasure. DBL Nation, you can see Afraid in theaters everywhere on August 30th. Thank you again, Keith. Congratulations. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome back. This is not impossible. What does the bathroom of the future look like? Well, experts are weighing in, and they say by 2034, stop, Al, your sink will advise you to apply sunscreen. And get this, as you step into the shower, it will glow infrared light to soothe any inflammation that you might have. So what do we think? Do we really need these fancy gadgets? I would want a shower that turns into a sauna.
Yeah, I like the idea, but we don't think about a couple years down the road when those things need maintenance. And I'm saying that because my husband has shut off every smart thing in our bathroom. Like, we need this fixed. This isn't working. So that's my question.
That's fair. Apply sunscreen. Apply sunscreen. Apply sunscreen.
I would kind of like that.
It's like a second wife.
But your wife has good information.
Not all the time.
If your bathroom needs to get up to date now, you can call Jacuzzi. Hey can help you do it the right way. Jacuzzi offers an unmatched stress-free remodeling process. Call 1-800-996-0017 or visit jacuzzibathremodel.com. We love sharing your comments. This is about the Menendez brothers. Mitchie says, surprisingly, I agree with Jeff. There should be consequences. However, I also...
Surprisingly.
I know. So, although I also agree with Erica, the consequences should match the actions. There are different degrees.
Did they mention me?
You are, no. None.
Check the back again.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
No,
Oh.
There's nothing.
They were thinking it.
Yeah, the sink is calling your name. That's what's happening. DBL is new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.